What we have today is the Uber Australia Holdings financial statements. Yours for just the price of $41 at ASIC, Australia's most expensive public information, the world's most expensive financial reports. Uber, as we've just recorded, has been hit by a lawsuit which it settled quietly before anybody could know how much the settlement was. It was by a couple who were their drivers, or partners as Uber calls them. Now, they thought that Uber thought that the judge was going to come down with an adverse judgment, which might have affected them worldwide if an Australian court found that in fact Uber did have employees. It contends it doesn't. It says it has partners, not employees. The little fellow you see driving on the moped in the rain down the expressway in the middle of the night, in the driving rain and the wind, delivering a pizza for $20, risking his life, risking everybody else's life. For that $20 or maybe $10, that, according to Uber, is a partner. Uber is one partner, moped guy the other partner. It's a partnership. A partnership suggests some form of equality, of balance. So you open this thing up, and the first thing that it strikes you is the surge in revenues. Up very strongly, according to this, which I don't believe, but with the magnitude of increase is believable. 935 million revenue last year, 1.2 billion in revenue this year, up the top here. And the interesting thing is, as they make more revenue, of course, their costs just go through the roof, which multinationals do, so that they don't have to make a profit. Marketing expenses up from 80 million to 237 million. Admin expenses, 703, they've gone down to 621. There was a restructure during this time. But in any case, these huge expenses have wiped out their profit. So they don't make a profit. And what we do know, though, is if we go to the very back, interred in the bowels of these financial statements, are what we always love to go and find, the Related Party Transactions Note 23. And if you look at these related party transactions, they are transactions between different Uber companies or entities. And we can see here that they've collected on behalf of a related company $3 billion last year. $3 billion. They paid a service fee to a related entity of almost $500 million. It was $500 million the year before. So they're raking out $500 million a year in service fees to related companies. Do we know who these related companies are? Well, that doesn't say. We could guess, but it would be pure guesswork because these are a skimpy set of accounts, and deliberately so. But we can assume that it's overseas somewhere in a low tax jurisdiction. It may be the immediate parent, Uber in the Netherlands, Uber NV. It may be someone somewhere else. And on top of that, there's a payment on behalf by related companies of $2 billion. So the amount of money that's changing hands here relating to Uber Australia is in the billions. We see that $1 billion ends up in the income statement. It's actually recorded as this is our revenue, which we admit to. And of course, there's all that costs and there's no profit. Crying poor the multinational way. And of course, if they do that, they're able to say to the court, when somebody comes and sues them, oh, look, we're just a startup. We don't make any profit in this country. It's terribly hard with all the regulations and everything, with all our partners that we have to pay. You get a bit of an idea how manipulative, how fake Uber is and the Uber structure is when you go to their notes and you find out what a partner is. Uber claims it doesn't have employees. In fact, it's a very famous saying that Uber has Uber employs more lawyers than drivers. And it could well be true, because its drivers, those that do the moped in the rain caper, they are regarded as the partners. And what is the point of regarding somebody as a partner? So that you don't have the burden of a contract relationship, if it's a contractor, so it's neither a contractor nor an employee. So they don't work for you. So you don't have to pay them sick leave. You don't have to pay them overtime. You don't have to pay them according to any award, anything that a union might want. You can ask them to work at any time. Just sack them if they don't work. And that's precisely what happened with the Guptas, the people who just struck their secret settlement. Now, we can reveal to you today that there are a number of lawsuits lined up against Uber. Now that the Australian court has had its judgment buried and Uber has settled this thing, obviously for a lot of money, one thing we don't understand is, why did the union not match it? Why did the union not say, the TWU, look, Guptas, we're going to find you the money that you're being offered by Uber to settle this thing, and we want you to take this to judgment. So there is a judgment against Uber in an Australian court, and therefore other Australian workers that have been exploited by Uber would have recourse to action too. Uber's terribly worried about it. They don't want it spreading like a pandemic, this workers' rights thing all around the world, because some Australian court has deemed that they've been exploitative. But this will give you an idea. The group, and this is in the small print to their accounts, the group, that's Uber, enters into services agreements with partners. That's what it does. It doesn't provide rideshare services. It doesn't have, whatever it looks like it does. It actually enters into service agreements with partners. Now, here's a good little juicy bit. These activities are performed, that is, the partner agreeing to go out and pick up the food and take it and drop it at the end user's place, the person who orders the pizza. And we quote, "These activities are performed to satisfy the group's sole performance obligation in the transaction, which is to connect partners with end users to facilitate the completion of a successful transaction." So this is what Uber contends that it does. Its sole performance obligation is to connect the partner, the poor bugger on the moped, with the hungry person buying the pizza. That's all it does. It's a connector of people. It's like an introduction agency. It's like the RSVP of rideshare. And this is how it, hand on heart, tells the lawyers and tells the judges in various courts that it has no obligation, because it doesn't have workers. It has partners. Uber's not alone in these things. eBay has an even more silly explanation for what it actually does for its activities. It's even sillier than this. Google, too. They all manufacture these things for legal reasons. But what we can say is that we do know, with them clipping the ticket for 30% of a restaurant bill, putting pressure on the restaurant sector, which is small business, that is multinational, preying on a lot of small Australian businesses, and the taxi industry as well in rideshare. What we have here is a new age entity which takes a lot from the societies in which it operates. All these court activities will be paying for that, taxpayers, because this will be, all these costs in court will be claimed as a cost of doing business. So whatever that settlement was, that will be tax deductible. So will the cost of the lawyers and the court time, wasting more Australian taxpayers' resources. They only just started, according to their accounts, by the look of it, they've had another restructure to sort of cover their trail and to concoct their next tax narrative for the next few years. But they paid $11 million in tax last year. for the first time. That's on 1.2 billion dollars in total income. They wiped their profits out, so we won't refer to taxable profits. 11 million seems like a lot, but for a company this size, it's nothing, especially as it's the first payment for many years. It will be interesting to see their pandemic numbers, because these kind of digital multinationals, Netflix, Apple, Google, Facebook, eBay, Gumtree, these guys, they will have all made out like absolute bandits last year. So we're looking forward to seeing their financial statements when April 30 rolls around for the December year end. In any case, all we can say to all you Uber drivers out there is that we certainly hope that somebody pushes a case against Uber through to public settlement, or the union backs somebody through to public settlement to set this precedent. Because what is the point of Australians and their small businesses being crunched by a multinational that takes from Australia and gives almost nothing back in return?